So today, we're gonna explore your path to total visibility so you can have that experience that you've been looking for and the massive impact that your work and your efforts deserve. And there are so many ways now to grab that visibility that's needed, and I'm gonna share with you several ways that we can get you on stage and different platforms. Whether you're a brand new speaker or whether you're seasoned, there's new opportunities opening up every day. So everybody knows visibility equals business growth and income, and that's profitability. So we're going to talk about that too. I deal with a lot of wonderful speakers in all avenues, in several categories, but I've got a lot of people in the health and wellness, in the spirituality group, and people who are healers. And I'm particularly fond of that group, but a lot of times they're not focused on making money, and it's okay to make money when you're giving to the world. You have permission. You get to make money doing things that contribute to the planet. So we're going to cover that too. And cultivating visibility, because attention is currency. And it's simple. If they can't find you, they can't buy from you. Okay. We live in interesting times. And I'm going to tell you one thing for me. We have so much access right now. So if you think about it, we can grab the past, we can grab the present, and we get insights into what's coming into the future like never before. I mean, it's like almost having a crystal ball. And I laugh about it. You can Google anything. You can find directions to go any place. You don't risk being lost anymore. And I'm kind of directionally challenged. So I really appreciate this app. It means a lot to me. Google, Google, you look for it, and then you can shop for it. So I shop daily. I'm going to say this. How amazing is it that there's a system that not only will bring it to your door, it's almost like receiving a gift every day. Like all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if you're just ordering Q-tips or you're ordering makeup. It's like a gift comes to your door every day. That's a great system. That's a change that's been going on. Streaming TV, Netflix, Roku, all the different channels, Hulu. There's so much entertainment out there right now. There's good things, there's bad things, but you get to choose from more content than you ever have been able to do before. And I really appreciate that because I like being home, watching it on a big television set. And while I love film and I love going to theater, I really love having it at my home and being able to stop for that bathroom break. Just saying. YouTube, you can learn anything. You can learn how to fix your washing machine, your sprinkler system, some of your tech. You can actually go in and learn how to manage all the new apps that are coming. I find that stunning. You've got Zoom. You can talk to anybody, anytime. I think that's my favorite tool at the moment because not only does it set us up for connectivity, it's a great way to have relationship, to create relationship. I never liked the phone. I've spent years having to deal on the phone. I loathe the phone now. I'm sure some of you feel the same way I do. If another robocaller reaches out to me, I don't want to talk about solar. I don't want to talk about mortgages. I don't want you to try and sell my house. I don't even answer the phone unless I know it's you. So I literally instruct people, give me your name and number and I'll put you in my phone. Otherwise, I'm not going to answer. Fathom and other apps like it. Fathom, my favorite. That's my favorite one. Can you imagine you can record now and you can get a full transcript. You can get an AI summary. You can have all of the questions asked during the meeting that you've had fed back to you. It's so great for following up with clients. So I love this tool. I use it all the time, and when it occasionally glitches, I'm upset about it. Imagine that. But it's made running my business so much easier because I can talk to people, connect with them, and track that relationship. I don't have to be typing notes all the time. So that's another innovation that I really appreciate. Facebook. Okay. I'm not a fan all the time. It's a time sucker. But on a personal level. And at the same time, You are able to create communities and have live events. That's stunning. This is in 20 years. I can't believe how different the world is. So I love that. You've got apps like, now you got AI, you got ChatGPT. Anybody in the room not know about ChatGPT? Because everybody's talking about it. It is amazing. There'll be people having discussions on both sides about it, but I really appreciate that it helps entrepreneurs to be able to create more opportunities within their business because it saves them time and it provides some ease and it gets you past that stuck point. If you're not a writer, then ChatGPT is probably your best friend. But I can tell you as someone who's written a million proposals and business plans, oh my gosh, it takes a long time to write a 50, 60-page business plan, weeks, to really go out and do all the research. With all the tools available now, it can have it for you by next week if I wanted to do it, and I don't. So it's really nice that this came towards the end of that for me, but that's all right. And besides that, it can create your marketing plans. It can come up with your management organization, how you organize your management teams. I mean, there's just nothing this can't do, but here's what's really interesting. It can create a relationship with you. It tries to. It gets to know you. That's a little creepy. It's a little creepy. But still, it's like being a better informed partner. You have to work together with it to make it really successful for you. I'm appreciative of that. And then, you know, there's TikTok. So besides being able to talk about everything, you can dance about it. You can get on TikTok and have a great time. So I have to appreciate all these things because in the end, their goal is to create and to connect you and collaborate. So what more could you ask for? To have this all brought to your door. I mean, when I think about Zoom now, the pandemic was obviously just tragic for so many of us and such a challenge. But the fact that now everyone, pretty much everybody in the world has access to Zoom or knows somebody who does. And we don't have to be alone. We don't have to be isolated. In fact, we love it so much now. We've brought our businesses home. We don't have to rent. A lot of us don't have to rent offices. We don't have to lease offices. We now can work from home and make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a situation that a lot of us like. Like, I like being home with my dog at my feet and the cat in my lap. I just think that's magic. So, and I will tell you this, you can imagine that all of these women that are talking to you, that are all dressed up in their suits from the waist up, they're wearing pajama bottoms on the bottom, and they're wearing slippers. I'm at least wearing the slippers. So, cell phones. Let's talk about that. I remember when they arrived, which dates me a little bit, but I remember when they arrived, and they were a little box, and they were a communication device, just as predicted on Star Trek when I was a kid. That's what they turned out to be. Now, it's a full-scale computer. You can run your whole business from your phone practically. You can talk to anybody around the world. It's in your hands. You can manage business, keep track of your kids, and it entertains you as well. What more could you ask for? So I'm appreciative of that. So today what we're going to talk about is why wide visibility matters, what you need to do to gain visibility, and how you find those opportunities. So of all the things I just described to you, and they're all wonderful, and they're all incredible tools, but the one thing they're not you. You're the unique component. And you're the messenger and the deliverer and the connector to who you are, what you do, and what you're passionate about. So step one of anything we're going to cover today is why you, and first of all, it's your why and why you, in that order, because that's huge. You know, what you do, it might be temporary. It'll evolve, it'll adapt, but your why is the reason that it's your impetus for what's going to happen next. So it serves your passion. So really, you've got to put yourself out there. There's really no avoiding it. And I can tell you, I have avoided it many times in the past, and it's unavoidable if you want to be successful. So your why is all about why I'm going to listen to you, why I'm going to buy your program, I'm going to join your community, or I'm going to follow you. If I don't know what your why is, it's probably not going to happen. There'll be a disconnect. It's almost like your website. Do you know the most valued page on your website? It's the About page. Doesn't matter what happens. People want to know, who are you? Who am I buying from? What are you about? So the real value in addressing that is you need to be clear about your why if you want other people to want it and buy it. And an authentic why attracts new clients, new referrals, and your why is your launch point, and it's your best enrollment tool. Your why links your potential clients' thoughts and feelings together with you, and it inspires their decision to choose you. So I think I've covered that. There's no avoiding this. Get your why down really quick. So I think this is a good time, actually, that I should share with you, why me? What's my why and why me? And I look forward to sharing this because it ties in really huge with visibility and my avoidance of it many times, and it just kept cropping up. So every project I took always ended up, it was a high-profile project, but I never thought to the end of the project that I was actually going to come out and have to do the PR personally. I like running things. I like to organize things. Don't really need to have the stage. Every time forced to have the stage. So the most significant, I'm going to tell you about the most significant chapter for me, and the thing that it transformed my business, the business I was working for. It transformed an industry, but more than that, it really transformed my life. I can tell you that my background is I create high visibility and brand awareness through synergistic partnerships and strategic alliances. I love doing that. That is about communication for me and negotiation and really loving bringing people together to work together on exciting projects. That's my number one thing. And I got invited, surprisingly, I knew a gentleman who, I didn't know him very well, but I had done a big event for him. I used to own an event company, and I specialized in large-scale events. It could be 3-day street festivals. We'd take over a city for, 5 blocks for a weekend. I like those kind of things. There's lots of moving parts to it. It's got a lot of, you can leverage those things, and I just love doing it. So I got an invitation to come and join a casino, a brand new casino. It wasn't a brand new casino. It had been around for a long time. It was kind of a moniker card casino called the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles. And it had been up for several years, and then it had fallen into somewhat difficult times. I believe there were some indictments. I think there were some difficulties that came up that the government felt they could do a better job with it. They took it over. The gentleman that I knew decided to buy that casino, and he put a team together, and the invitation came to me to join in and be director of marketing and advertising. And I thought to myself, no, that is not a good fit for me. I don't gamble. I work really hard for my money. I don't see any point in that. And for me at the time, I didn't know how to play any of the games. I had no experience with it whatsoever. It was completely like, I might as well have been in Egypt, and it was a whole new language. And so I turned him down 3 times. And the last time he said, come and I'll pay you this amount of money just to consult for 2 months. I was a single mother. I said, okay, 2 months, I can do this. I'll come and help you. And I'll tell you what you need. That was his request. I ended up going in, and my plan was to leave skid marks. I was going to be there 2 months and slide right out. And then as things happened, something happened, somebody else left. They didn't want to, they wanted to fill that gap. And so I said, okay, I'll stay for a year. So in that period of time, the panic set in. oh my God, I don't know how to play these games. I can't read these promotions. What is Pan 9, Pai Gow Poker? I have no idea how to play. I have no time to learn these games. There's a million card games. And I think just for the audience, for those that don't know the difference between Las Vegas gaming and card rooms, is that card rooms are all based in just you're not playing against the house. You're playing against each other. And so it's a tables and chairs rental business when it gets right down to it. And it's not it was not a significant part of a casino's repertoire of offerings. If you went to a Vegas casino, you would have slots in, 8 rooms, and you'd have food and beverage, and you'd have, roulette and on craps tables, and then you'd have a poker room that had 3 tables in it. And the biggest one ever was like 7 tables. In this card casino, there was over 100. So when I say you'd walk into a stadium of all of these tables, and when I walked in the first day, I can tell you what I walked into. The demographic for that casino was 65 to dead, all men, and no women. Nowhere. I thought, what am I doing here? So my attempt was then how do I do what I do and make a difference in an environment that I have no experience in? And so I set about creating events, because I know how to do that, and bringing sponsorship, because I know how to do that. And I delegated all the promotions that at the time, honestly, being honest, could not read them. I was like, what are they talking about? I have no idea. I was lost in the beginning. So I spent the next year and a half realizing if you're going to have a room full of men, and if you'd like to have some more, you should invite women, because, we're great connectors. And of course, they didn't want them. And that's how it started. It sounds like a good idea, but really they kind of like their tables the way they like them. But we thought no. So we did a lot of women's tournaments. We put together opportunities for them to learn. The women were honestly, except for the pros, the people that were really accomplished, and they weren't there. They weren't excited. They were a little nervous, but they got smarter. Because, women are very smart. And once they'd figured it out, they now were on the floor, and then the men's world was rocked. They didn't know what to do with it. You should have seen them. Oh, my, tape. You should have seen them posturing at the table and flirting at the table. It was really throwing everybody's game off. So it was an interesting year and a half. And then I got this phone call, and that's where my next step happens. In the next phone call I got, the publisher of the major trade magazine, Card Player Magazine, was doing a huge global gaming expo. And an invitation was sent to me, but actually didn't go to me. It went to someone else, someone near and dear that you could not refuse. My mother. And my mother said she's happy to do it. She'd love to do it. And it was about speaking in front of a major global gaming expo and thinking they're going to find, and unfortunately, at the time, all I could think of was, I don't want to embarrass myself or my company. Oh my gosh, I was having some successes, right? Obviously, that's why they'd called, but I kept thinking someone's going to find out. I don't know these games or these promotions. It's just not, I'm not the traditional director of marketing at all. I don't have any of this. And there's going to be a lot of people who've been in this gaming business a long time, and so I had serious imposter syndrome. So I made myself sick for 4 months prepping for this. I couldn't say no. I couldn't get out of it. I dreaded it to the level of barf. I mean, seriously, it was just awful. And then I created it in the last month, took it to my mom, and I said, all right, this is the speech I'm giving. I had to speak for an hour. That is an eternity. I had to speak for an hour, and I decided to read it to her, and she said, nope, that won't do it. You told them what you've done. That's why they called you to get there, but you didn't teach them how to do it for themselves. So, of course, I didn't speak to her at all. I was so angry. I didn't speak to her for 2 days, and I rewrote it, of course. And then right before I was supposed to do it, I went to her hotel room because, of course, she had to show up. And then I read it to her, and she said, don't change a thing. So now I had to go in front of this huge stadium. I wish you could see this picture. of this thing, and it turned out to be quite an interesting experience. Right before I had to go up, I found out I was following the number one, let's say it this way, someone very prominent in the industry was speaking before me, and the thought was, oh no. I mean, it's like, do I want to follow Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins? Like, please don't make me do that. And he spoke, and then I felt much better. That's all I'm going to say. I said, all right, I can do this. So that is my story of how I ended up on this big stage, which was the biggest fear of my life. I, like many people, I don't know how many in this room this applies to, but terrible stage fright. Absolutely horrible. And I survived it. And then afterwards, my goal was, look, I have to do this, then I'd like to be an effective speaker. I'd like to be one that is engaging. And that's all I said. I said nothing else. I didn't say, sign me up for classes, or I didn't do any of that. I just said it. And all of a sudden, I just kept getting invited. I'd get invited to do talks in Vienna and Costa Rica and Australia, and I thought, who put this out? It wasn't me. So it turned out to be that would change the trajectory of my own career, but then it led to something else. And this is why visibility is so important. You don't know where it's going. You might give one speech that lets people know about you, and the word gets out. And I'm not telling you I am the greatest speaker in the world. I just speak from the heart that this is what I know, this is what I've done, this is what I'd love to share with you. And that turned out great, but I'll tell you what it led to. It led to 5 pieces of paper brought to me by an amazing gentleman by the name of Steve Lipscomb. Steve Lipscomb was an entertainment attorney that decided that he wanted to put poker on TV. So he sat down at my desk and said, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to put poker on TV, and I've been turned down by just about everybody. And he had to come up with 12 casinos that wanted to be on this. And he was having a really hard time. Can you imagine? No. He was having a hard time getting people in the gaming industry to buy into putting it on TV. Because of where I come from, I was like, well, we're done. Let's get on with this. And that relationship changed my life. It not only changed the industry, it went from a huge room of nobody at tables and only partially filled to overflowing. It brought in young people. It brought in women. It was sexy because it was, yes, it was film. It was TV, and that just makes a difference. But I literally got to watch, what do you call that, the zeitgeist of poker. It went wild, and then the magic happens with things that are meant to be. So, interesting little side note, a gentleman, and you could not make this up. You can't write this movie. A gentleman with his real name was Chris Moneymaker. That was his name. And he was an accountant from the Midwest. And he started to play on an online site for free, or actually they were $39 tournaments, satellite tournaments. He made his way to the World Series of Poker and walked away with $2.9 million. And so that was good PR. Let's put it that way. The industry went crazy. Again, this is about what visibility can do for you personally and can do for your business. You just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know the relationships that you're going to attract. I can tell you from a sponsorship standpoint, I had brought in some heavy-hitting sponsors. You should have seen some of the celebrities that came in after that. Just amazing. Michael Jordan. Tall, cool glass of water, this man. Lots of poker tournaments, celebrity tournaments were happening. Television became crazy. ESPN then started filming the World Series of Poker. So it's not that this is all about poker. It's to let you know that was an unlikely place for poker to take hold. And once it did, every casino fell in line. So what used to be 3 tables, 7 tables, now all the major casinos were bringing in 40 tables. And that's the smallest revenue generator for all of them. So what I can say is in every casino, poker is the smallest amount of money they'll make. They went crazy because it was doing really well. But imagine that was all just about visibility. That was all about exposure. And people realizing this is fun. I don't have to play against the house. I'm playing against you and you. I can do this. So there were a lot of benefits to it, and that is my visibility story, is that it changed my life. It got me on stages. I'm more of the introvert than a lot of other people, but a lot of times it's just about showing up. That's the importance in life. It's about showing up even if you're nervous, even if you're not sure you're the one because they invited you. I will tell you another interesting development that I'm super proud of. During that period of time, another woman who worked at the casino with me, we partnered together and we pioneered the first free cash game television show streamed directly from the high limit floor of the casino. It's called Live at the Bike. And that got very popular and it went global. And we ended up shooting content in Europe, in the UK. We shot all through Las Vegas. It attached us to other events. I've shot in Australia. That's what happened because of visibility. I never had that plan. That was never my idea. I'm just saying one speech opened up so many doors, not just for me, but for an industry. It changed the industry. And now you see poker on television all the time. So it's a big deal. And to this day, it's the longest running cash game poker show around. It's been bought up by Bally's. But that was a really successful venture, and I happen to be really proud of that one. Okay. It was nice to share that story. I don't share it very often, but it really fits here of the power of visibility and how you have to have it. So let me tell you, and this is for everybody out there, the top 10 reasons why public speaking is the most successful strategy to increase your visibility and grow your business. One is it builds your credibility. It positions you as an expert in your field. It creates networking opportunities like I just shared with you. It literally exposes you to a larger audience that you might not otherwise have had any access to. And it gives you great brand recognition. It allows you to target your audience a lot better. And I think that's really powerful as well. And brand positioning, obviously. If you're out there and it allows you to align your brand with specific topics and issues and positions you as a leader. Lead generation, we all need it. It's such a boring term in my mind, lead generation, and yet you have to have this. Visibility makes that easier and makes that successful and allows you to get opt-ins. It's an educational platform. You know, a lot of people need to know what you do. You could advertise for it, but if they don't really understand what it is you're about, then what chance do you have for them when there's a lot of competition out there? If you're a thought leader and you want influence, public speaking is the fastest way to grow your business. Bar none, there's nothing that will do it quicker, and it will create word of mouth marketing for you too. If someone really likes your talk, they'll spread the word for you. It's a little bit of a TED experience. And then media exposure. I can say in my story today, media exposure, we're all about it. And so don't let this pass you by. If you have an opportunity to gain visibility, go for it and put it as part of your marketing plan. Fear of public speaking, let's chat for just 2 seconds about it. I think the stats stay right about people dread public speaking more than death. Like that's the top 2. Really? I get it. And you can plan and prepare as you should for everything that you want to do, but stuff happens. Like today, tech issues can really throw you off your game. So all you can really do is come to the table and embrace the experience and show up and then see how it's going to turn out. It'll probably be fine. And you're here for a reason, so I'm going to give you my top tips for how to move through fear of speaking. You're here for a reason. You were invited. So if somebody gave you their stage, they must have thought enough of you to give you the stage. The next story comes from my dear friend, Diane Alexander, who reminded me, you know, at the Oscars, some of the best actors that you admire and revere, they choke when they get to the Oscars, and that's why they have barf bags, barf buckets, and portable restrooms at the back, because they're so nervous. So if that's how they feel, then we don't have to feel bad that we're nervous about it. The audience is for you. That's what I always try to remember, is that it's so scary to get up there sometimes, but the audience in the end is really for you. And it's not about you. I mean, that's the hard one to remember, and it's the one when you get up on the stage that you have to keep in mind. That there's one, I think of it as like this: if there's one person in the room that needs to hear your information, then that's why I'm here, and that's the person I'm speaking to. So it's not about me, and I just remind myself about that, that I have something to offer, and the person that needs to hear it will find me, and then I made my difference. I lived my purpose. And then last two things are, I try to embrace when I get on a stage, any stage, as we're just having a conversation. It's not about the room, even though I love this room and I really love the people that are in it. It's a supportive group. But who I'm speaking to, and especially with the Action Era app, imagine every time you get up to do something where you're using this app, really think of it as you're having one conversation with one person who's on the other end of the phone. And you get to talk to them about what's important. And if it resonates with them, they're gonna want to reach out to you, and they're going to remember you, and they're going to get to know you better. And then this is my last little mindset shift. It works every time, and I know this because I didn't use it today. What I do is to shift my energy is I find comedy. So before I get on the stage, I will usually, my personal one, Graham Norton. I think he's the best talk show host on the planet. He interviews the best. Don't you think his interviews are incredible? I put him on as I'm driving over to the venue or as I'm getting ready to the bathroom, and I can't stop smiling. So he's my person. But you find the comedy that finds your funny bone, and that's your vulnerable place. It just puts you in a good mood. It raises your energy. And that has been the trick. It's such a little thing, but I love it. It's a little thing and a powerful thing. It's mighty. So now that you have your why in hand and you're not feeling so nervous, then here's what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn how to get booked, because it's not just about having the information. It's about getting past the bookers. So if you prepare and assemble the right pieces, then you'll be ready to go upon any invitation. And then I'm going to tell you where to go to find the stages that will serve you. Because in the end, it doesn't matter. You don't need all stages. You need the right stage. Yeah. So I'm going to go to what are the paths and what are the ways to get there. For anybody out there who is new, who's brand new, who's still nervous, who I have not alleviated all your fears. If you're at the starting point, try networking meetings. They're a soft place to land and a safe place to fall. They are very embracing. They usually, you know, there can be anywhere from 35 to 50 people. I know some that have 150 people. And you find the one that has the right vibe for you. But the advantage is that when you go in, they have small breakout rooms. It's a chance to get to talk to someone, small groups, and let them get to know you. And they're not there to bite you. And actually, I've gotten the best relationships out of the networking groups because you have a few minutes to talk and get to know each other. And you don't need much to do it. You need a focused strategy, which means just have 3 minutes to say what you do for a living. And have a little section, a chat box, preparation of your contact information, your company and what you do, and have it ready to go so you can drop it in throughout the event so people know where to find you if they need you. And then this sounds crazy, but you got to get organized about this stuff. If you're going on lots of different events, different types of events that we're going to share, then you're going to need to have a tracking sheet that keeps track of the people that you're contacting, what they do, so you can do it in real time. Don't try to capture everybody. I've done this. I think I'm a hoarder of information, and I realized I was making myself crazy. Don't do it. Just listen to the groups and know who's your person. If you're just paying attention, you'll know. So the next area is live and virtual speaking. And right now, for anyone that doesn't know, before COVID happened, you had about 6,000 speaking events throughout United States and Canada. Now we're up to 12,000 speaking opportunities every single day. So you're not missing any. There are plenty out there. It's just a matter of how you get to them. And the reason it's so huge now is because there's live events, there's virtual events, and then there's hybrid events, because people have realized as much as they like getting back into the room, the organizers want to attract people outside to bring in more people. So they have a hybrid option. For those of us that like being home and we don't want to travel, this is golden. I can get in a lot more places these days. So don't let that get away from you. So what are they? They are meetings and meetings and associations. What's great about those is those people meet usually monthly or quarterly. So if you get in the door with one of them and you have something to say to one of them, you will most likely get invited to come to the other chapters. That starts you on a trajectory of really getting committed to those associations. The other one is like chambers of commerce and civic groups. You know, they know everything that's going on in town. That's what they're there for. They're supposed to be connecting you, right? They know every foundation. They know every cause. They know every business and what they're trying to accomplish, and they invite people to events. So if you get in there and work with Chamber of Commerce, you can really start getting a wide variety of businesses that would love to have you come and speak at their place. Conferences. I think we're up to 4,000 conferences now across the country. I mean, SpeakerTunity offers a lot of things. And conferences is one where literally you can come in and find your target market, what your niche is. And you're not limited to one. You can now attract many people so that your business is growing by all the choices that are out there. So you can really detail this. Corporate, there's another avenue. If you get in for a talk, you may end up being invited back. If you were compelling, you have an opportunity now to go in and you'll be part of their training program for their employees, or you'll be management training, or the HR people will call you and say, you need to come and talk to my group. I love your subject matter. You can do special retreats. Those are great. You go away for 3 days and do something fabulous, and you're talking for a couple of hours, and then you're done, and it's a really nice ride. So that's another opportunity for you. There are different, obviously there's special interest groups. There's trade shows and expos. It's another great place to get your contacts out there and to make connection. I know that Dina knows about that. She's good at going to those events and creating connection with people. There are 4 different talks that you can do. You've got paid to speak, where people pay you. Now, please don't limit yourselves. You know, I occasionally have people that say, you know, I just won't talk on a stage unless people are paying me $100,000. I think, well, good luck to you. That's great. But I don't think that's the right attitude, because there are other ways to make money. You've got speak to sell or enroll, and that can often make you a whole lot more money. So I'll give you an example if I can hold on to the math. Let's say you want to make $2,500 or $5,000 from a speech, right? And nobody's paying. Part of the reason now, they used to pay for speakers because they'd have to get people to come in. They'd have to draw people into the room, and they'd have to pay somebody for their expenses to come. They don't have to do that anymore because a lot of them are hybrid, so they're doing it by Zoom. And there's so many people out there. People used to make a lot more money, but there's a lot of CEOs that went out of business that were retired quickly and needed to find another way to make a living. So there were CEOs available. So that high-end speaker, that's a real cream of the crop right now, and they don't have budgets. Nobody's got budgets anymore. So there are limitations in that field. But let's say in a speak to sell or speak to enroll type of situation, let's say you have a $2,000 program. Let's use that. And let's say you go to an event that's got 50 people and you feel confident, I can sell 10% of this room. I just feel like this will be a valuable opportunity for me. So if I wish I had written this down here. I know this is on a slide I have. That's 50 people, so 5% is, so 10% would be 5 people. Did I screw my math up? Are we good, tech guy? And now that's 2,000. That's $10,000 you've made. So a lot better than being paid. And now you have relationship with the people in the room, with those people that now are going to come with you. So now you have multiple opportunities to engage with them and create something more substantial. So now let's skip to the next subject that I want to share with you is relevance. What motivates a booker to say yes to you? And how do you make yourself relevant to a booker? I have a lot of people that will say, well, I just send my stuff in. And, if I'm right for their group, then, they'll hire me. That is not the way to go about it. You need to get a little bit more sophisticated about this. So I'm going to give you some ideas on how to make yourself more relevant to the booker. Because it's not really the host you're going to end up getting to deal with. You have to get past the stage booker, and that stage booker has a different agenda. It's not just what the host is looking for. So you're going to look and say, am I the right demographic, age, gender? Is their audience the right one for me and what I do for a living? Is it a mindset match? You are going to, do you solve a specific problem that challenges that particular audience? That one is so important. That's going to come up again. But so important that what you do is a match for them. And then you'll have a better chance. Or your subject matter is really compelling. And there's some urgency implied, some kind of need to know. It could be people that are going through PTSD. And you have a healing method that you're having great success with. This is a really challenged group, and you come up with something new and different that they need. Well, then you're going to be a good fit for them. Or you offer something you've got to offer something that's unique and different. Even this means going back and packaging what you do. Like, it's getting a little bit boring to say, I'm a mindset coach. Right. I've heard it to death. I'll just use that one. Let's go with that. And that's a wonderful thing to be, but you better find a unique way to present that. You have to find a way that sets you apart from everybody else because they're coming out of the woodwork. So don't ignore that. Really important, your story is their story. That always is a really good way to be relevant. Or your topic's really timely, or it's current and it's relevant to what's happening now. So right now, if you're an AI expert and you are really practiced with ChatGPT, you win. Like, it's hot for another 20 minutes. It's going to be hot for another 3 or 4 months. And then it's going to move on because that's what trends do. Or let's talk about your credentials. Do you have unique credentials? And yes, you do have very unique credentials. And if it's something that's going to be significant to that audience, then be sure you highlight that when you approach them. Or you inspire and ignite the audience with something specific and practical that you do, and that your advice is different than everybody else's. You're not run-of-the-mill. Or you match the theme or the subject matter of whatever the next. So let's say you're dealing with you want to get on a radio show or a podcast. This is important to know. The booker is looking at what the theme is. You don't know what it is. So we'll come back to that. I'll cover that in a few minutes. But you want to make sure that you know what that audience or what that show theme is so that you stay in line with that. And when you approach them, you're very specific about your approach. Or you're the right skill level for the audience. So let's say you're talking to someone who's a neophyte and you've got a talk that's really advanced, it's really on the higher end, well, you're going to lose those people. They're going to be lost. Or you're just talking to beginners, and the people that are really seasoned, they're going to be bored out of their minds. So you've got to really tailor what you're doing to be the right level. And let's say you have a book that you've authored, and this is a great chance for you to reinforce your authority with a show that will really appreciate what you do. And let's say you've spoken. The last thing I'll say is if you've spoken at other meetings or associations, this is another chance now for you to be able to relate that to, yes, I spoke in front of ABC television on this subject, and now I'd like to speak to you, Fox News, on the following subject. And last but not least, you want to check out when you're making your deal, when you're going in to negotiate. It's not just about what you want to be paid, it's what they can afford to pay you. So it'd be good for you to try and get a sense of that before you walk in and say, I only get paid $100,000, because it's just not, it's not going to happen. It's tedious and you're taking up people's time. The next piece in this training is about live and virtual tools that get you booked. Your proposal letter. Let's talk about that for a second. That proposal letter might be the only contact you have with someone. So you got to make sure that you're the right person to talk to their group, and that you are able to overcome, you're able to bring something that will help their audience overcome the problem that they're experiencing. You want other supporting documentation that you have. You got a book? Let them know about the book. Let them know a description of the book. Where you might have spoken before, but only say that if it's impressive. Like if you've been speaking at, you know, Joe's Bar and Grill, then probably, you know, the head of this corporate entity is not going to be as interested. You've got to find something that they'll say, ooh, you were on that stage? I want you on my stage too. That has value. You want to send in a video link of yourself. 2 or 3 minutes of a video link that's live is really helpful. Like you're getting that today from Actionera. They're going to give you live content now. You get yourself 2 to 3 minutes of that so people can see what you look like when you speak. If you didn't have this opportunity, and if you haven't, you should check into getting involved with Action Talks and Actionera. But if you don't have that opportunity, Zoom, you can set up a certain Zoom situation at home and at least use that in the interim. But in the end, a live talk will really serve you well. A call to action. Do you know people actually send in their proposal letters and forget to say, they forget the call to action. Let me help you. Here's the call to action. Please book me. I would love to be part of your show. It's a small thing. You can't believe how many people leave that out. And contact. Leave your contact information, and please go direct. People don't want to come and find you. No, I don't want to go to your LinkedIn and find you. I don't want to, you know, join your Facebook community. I just want you to give me your email. Give me your email and a phone number, and we're good to go. If I'm going to call you, I'm going to call you. And so keep this under like 7 or 8 paragraphs, because they don't need to read War and Peace. Keep it short and concise. The next thing I'm going to make a suggestion about is a speaker one sheet. Some of you have these. I've seen them. Very powerful. I'm going to say a couple things about this. Here's what your speaker sheet needs to have on it. These are the key elements. You want to have no more than a 300-word bio. You want to have a photo. You want to have a headline that grabs. You want to have a couple of testimonials. Helpful if they're stage testimonials. Like I said, if you say you've been on ABC morning news, well, that has some credibility. So that's a wonderful thing to include. But that'll evolve. As you get better testimonials, you're going to add those testimonials. If you have any credentials, certainly put them as logos at the bottom of your page so people can see it and be impressed. If you have a book, I would certainly put that book, and if you can get a graphic of that book, it's credibility. And it's credibility now, because soon things will change, because people are writing 3 books on ChatGPT over the weekend, so it will not have the same credibility. But if you've had it and it's been out there for a while, like you actually wrote it yourself, this is valuable. Let people know. You know how to commit to things. You know how to focus. You have a lot to say. because you're going to put it between the binders. So I love that. And then have a logo and have good graphics. So a lot of people feel that they have an inner graphic designer inside them. I'm one of those people that loves art, and I make some beautiful things. But let me tell you, this is the one place I don't want you to be cheap. I don't want you to cut the corners on it. Go have a professional one done. It makes all the difference. And as good as you think yours looks, give it to a graphic designer and find out that you are not a graphic designer. And I can tell you, as someone that books summits, and I just worked on one with some high-end speakers called SpeakerFest. But it was amazing how many people wanted to get on this stage. Let me tell you what came through my door, like through my computer. Help me. Like the people that had a Speaker One sheet and it looked great and they looked professional, really ups your professional game. And then there's people that will send in their photo here, a bio here, and it just doesn't look pulled together and it's more work. And I actually do both because I'm a surviving perfectionist that's really working on it. But I give it to them both ways. So this is a little personal note. I love a beautiful Speaker One sheet. And I also like for them to send me the introduction or the bio separate, too, on top of it. And I like to have the picture because I'm the one who has to, if I have to cut it up, if I need the information, I don't want to retype it, I'm going to drop it into my master document. And I'm going to put you in a file with all the speakers. So I provide both. And I'm going to give you a trick about that in my next slide. They'll kind of tell you how this works. The other thing you can do is put a link to a short video. Short, 2-3 minutes, that's all you need. Again, they don't want to see your whole show. Please don't send them your 30-minute podcast because they will say no. But I love these, and I think they each have personality. And you should find somebody, we do them, but other people do them too, that they design it so each one's different. It's not the same template for everybody. You are allowed to have some personality in this. So, you know, stick with your brand colors and ask for some creativity. Okay, so now if you want to be a speaker and you've decided you're going to make that play, I want you to think of this as it's not just an idea, it's a piece of your marketing strategy, and it only works if you commit a couple hours a week to finding and landing stages, to creating your materials, to choosing your targets, to sending out your proposals, or doing follow-up with those people who've responded to you. You can pay a VA to do this for you. You can put all the materials together and pay them to submit for you. I obviously know people that do that for you too. But the point is you can do it for yourself, but you can't do the time. If you don't do the time, you can't make the dime. That's it. That's a Jackie colloquialism. I can never say that word. But it's true. If you aren't willing to commit to it, it'll just get away from you. So track it. And honestly, you've got to commit to it like this is a piece of my job. And I bring it up so strongly because you know what happens to all of us, and I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, we get sidelined. We get our clients come first, our families come first, you know, more tasks come up, and then we get backburnered. And then sooner or later we get resentful that we can't do anything, we can't get the word out to anybody, when in fact we should have put ourselves on the schedule. So put yourself on the schedule and you're going to find out, wow, I've got a thriving business here. So where do I look for stages? This is the next stage. Where are you going to find these stages you need to be on? Start, for the people that are brand new, that haven't been out a whole lot, or they want to branch out and try some new stages, you know, yes, ask your friends and family, but go to your church, go to your organizations that you deal with. They end up knowing about a lot of opportunities that are available, and they'll invite you once they know you're interested. And you can ask previous bookers. If they've booked you and they had a good experience with you, they want you to get out to more people because it looks better for them, because they were the ones that pioneered your stage experience. So that's really helpful. Like I said, Chamber of Commerce, those are friends of yours, especially your local one. They have to work with you. But then you can spread out and post your requests to speak on Facebook and Instagram. You'll be very surprised How many people will respond to you? And LinkedIn's the same way. Put it out there and you will find a lot of people will invite you to speak. Ask your colleagues who are speakers. If they've spoken somewhere and they had a good experience, they want you to have the same experience. We're kind of an interesting club when we start working together. And then if you're in masterminds or you have coaches, a lot of times they're really helpful at directing you to the next stage opportunity. The other place for you to look, Google this stuff. You know, we have, SpeakerTunity has over 200,000 stages across multiple platforms. Guess where a lot of them came from? Researching Google. And Meetup is another one where you literally can have, it used to be you could find groups to engage with now. If you give them your information, you can host those groups and they will send you leads. Same way with Eventbrite. It used to be a one-off. They just put one event on. Now they're doing continuous events. So try that. There's events in America that will tell you this is all the events coming up in the next year. You have to work a little harder on them because they don't give you contact information, but at least you'll know what's coming up. Even if you miss it, you'll know what you missed. And then there's a directory of associations that have them across the country. That's another place that you can find associations that are a nice fit. And my favorite in the end, LinkedIn's amazing. LinkedIn will really help you find speaking opportunities. Anybody like radio shows and podcasts? They're only the craze. I mean, they're only the craze. But right now, it used to be, when I started, there was about 1 million podcasts. It's right before COVID. It had about 1 million podcasts out there. And they were anywhere from, you know, 5 to 10 to 15 minutes long. Now they're 30 minutes to an hour long. Now you get so much exposure if you're going to go on to these. And now there's over 2 million of them. Can you imagine that? It's over 2 million to get on. And it's on internet radio, broadcast radio, and satellite radio. So the thing about that is that it's great for exposure. It's not really great for direct ROI really quickly. It isn't. But what it is good is getting you out there and being able to say you were on this show and getting to create a connection with the audience. And the other thing that's now starting, if you guys aren't aware of it yet, is that a lot of times, now sometimes you have to pay to be on the show. But when they do that, they usually allow you to sell on the show. A lot of times they'll say, hey, you can come out and, you know, sell your book and we can share the proceeds for anybody that came through during this half hour or for this limited period of time. So it could be a revenue stream for you, a very direct revenue stream now. Used to be just, I got great PR and I can say I was there. So that's another nice change that's happening. What do you need for that? What do you need? You need a compelling pitch letter. And I think you kind of have a feel already of what that needs to be. It's very similar. You need physical and digital books. So even though people like digital books, I'll tell you about 60 to 70% of hosts, they want the hardcover book. And they want it before they have you on their show. So keep that in mind that you might want to, if you're going to do a book, you might want to have some hard copies. A podcast introductory sheet is a little bit shorter. It's usually 1 page. One sheet is 2 pages. I personally, because I'm looking out for you all, usually it's a little bit more when you do both pages, but I want the real estate. I use the real estate well. Would you like me to tell you what goes into and I told you a little bit about what goes on your one sheet, but one thing I wanted to share with you about your one sheet. Your one sheet is not, don't make this one mistake that it's about you. It's not about you. So a lot of times when people come, they'll say, my name is Mary Smith, and it's got this big picture of her. And then I'll have this little paragraph underneath that's about, I like to talk about yada, yada, yada. And here's my credentials, and here's my book. Think about this as a strategic booking opportunity, booking sheet. You want to tell them, number one, how you're going to transform their audience. That's the most important paragraph that you have in this. So be sure that you let them know why you. What about you and why you? Why are you the one they should listen to and how you'll make a difference because they want their audience to appreciate them. They want them to feel like when they watch their show, it makes a difference for them. The booker has a different perspective. The booker wants to make the host and the network happy. So they are looking for someone who makes their job easier. So one of the things I do is when I send off to them, I send them 10 questions. If they'd like to ask me, I want to make it easy for them. The booker loves me because I've done her work for her. She didn't have to go and search for any of this. So I made her job easier. And then from my side, I kind of get a little bit of control over the narrative. I get to direct. So it really works for everybody. It's that win-win for everyone. So keep that in mind for either your Speaker One Sheet or your podcast. And the other thing is, think about the booker as that's the gatekeeper. I want her to hold on to my stuff. So if she says, I'm doing a theme on ABC this month, and I send mine in, but it doesn't fit, I'm going to make sure I'm telling her, I have 3 talks that I give on these subjects. I cover these subjects, and I have 3 or 4 different talks. So maybe I say, I can do a keynote. I do keynotes. I do workshops. I do masterminds. I do presentations. I do retreats. I let her know that I'm incredibly versatile so that she doesn't toss me in the trash. She puts me in her drawer. Because 2 months from now, when the whole group is saying, what are we going to talk about next month? What should we highlight on the show next month? I whip this out of my drawer and say, well, we got the speaker and she's ready to go and she'd love to do it and she'd be a perfect fit. What an interesting subject. So just think about it that way. Okay. Last but not least, I want to talk about, well, it's not last but not least. I just had something else I want to share with you. Virtual summits. Has anybody in this room done a summit? Okay, so you've all done these, and I figure a lot of people know about them, but you know that the value of that summit is, threefold. I mean, you actually get a chance to speak on somebody else's stage that they paid for. And sometimes they charge, and they should, because they're paying for the tech and they're doing all the work to set it up. I just did one recently, put on one. Yes, gotta love the person that has to put it on. It's a lot of work to do to get these things up. So you pay a little money to be part of it, and that way it ensures that you market, because that's the job here, is that on your side as a speaker, to market to your community. That's why they charge now, is because people are just coming on and speaking but not doing their part. And this is a collaborative effort, so that's really lovely. And it's the best way to grow your opt-in list. This is the way to get a bigger list, and so many now are saying if you don't have 2,000 people, 2,500, 5,000 people, then you can't be on my stage. Well, the way you build that is by going on summits. That's really powerful. And I will point this right at, I think I'm going the wrong way. I think I am. Yeah. I'm having a field day here.
Nice. You're in the wrong way.
It's jumping all over the place.
Here,
I'm getting close. Sorry, guys. This is possessed. This is just possessed, and it's jumping around a lot. Can't quite find it. Let's talk about TEDx events.
Yeah.
Yes,
I actually found it. Thank you for being so patient. So TEDx tools. What do you need? And Sarah can tell you everything you need about this, but I'll touch on it. You need a great audition video. You need a rock-solid 12-minute idea worth spreading, concept and presentation. And you need an application transfer sheet. And one of the things I like about that reference is that if you're filling out a bunch of stuff every time trying to submit to all these different platforms, create for yourself what they call, has anybody ever applied with a JOT form? It's a very minimal form that they just take the main information. There's not much personality involved in it. So what I do is fill out the JOT form with all the key information, but it's very dry. And then I send them my Speaker One sheet too after the fact so that they have some color, so they know they have a little bit more personality, connection, and more about what the why is, and not just this is what I do. So the last platform I want to cover with all of you is streaming TV. This is another hot topic. And what I love about it is it allows people to repurpose their content. There's opportunities here for you that you may not be aware of. Did you know that 46% of adults watch video on TV on a connected device? And 62% of those adults are 18 to 34. 55% of them are 34 to 55, and then 24% of them are 55 and up. So the percentage of people that are utilizing these devices is insane, and it's just growing all the time. And it has, the thing about this is it has a higher trust rating than social media does. About 70%, whereas social media has about 8 to 12%. Streaming TV. And think about it. I mean, a lot of people are watching this. Yes, you can watch it on your screen like our kids do. Why they want to watch these small, I don't know. I like it big, where I can see it. Yeah. And, you know, you can literally see somebody's nose hairs on television. But I tend to like that I can see it. So right now, Roku, 50 million active subscribers. Amazon Fire has 50 million as well. And Apple TV has 40 million, and they're up and coming. So with the rise of all of these, there are opportunities here that you didn't have before. Maybe even a year ago, this wasn't available to you. Over 700 million people worldwide subscribe to some service. Can you imagine? That is an incredible amount of people. And 87% of U.S. households have at least one connected device. I'll bet you most of you have more than one. So right now, you're going to find that streaming networks allow you to have a web presence across multiple platforms. So whether you're talking about all the podcast opportunities, events, live events, recorded events, social media, all of them, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok, all of them. This is all running through Stream TV now. And then you've got Roku, like I said, Apple, Amazon, Android, Samsung TVs now. They come fully loaded with these when you buy it. Then you've got ActioneraTV.com, our favorite project. And you've got Set the Bar TV, you've got TYL Network, and then you've got phones and the Actionera developments that are coming that are very exciting. This Actionera app is going to be incredible. So just think about streaming TV now, that this is open to you now. It wasn't before, and now it's popping up. Find the networks that are valuable to you. But what I like about them is there's a lot of done for you. You can have this content, and they'll reproduce the content you already have, and then they distribute for you. Several of them have like 28 platforms that I just described. They distribute all for you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do individual contracts. It'll just be one-stop shopping now. I love that. The non-tech person, I like when it can all go together. So think about that. And I'll share with you why this is beneficial to you, why you need to consider this if you haven't before. There are benefits on building your brand with this kind of thing, expanding your reach like never before. I just gave you some incredible stats that you can't match to anything else. And if you could get exposure on these networks, this could exponentially increase your visibility and your bottom line. And it's going to generate a lot of revenue because there's multiple ways to use that opportunity. I'm all about leveraging opportunities. So not only are you getting exposure, but there's revenue streams in there. There's advertising that you can incorporate in. There's sponsorships that you can incorporate in. If you have a show and the show's getting traffic, and then you can cross-promote with other channel owners and other content creators. So if you do something similar but it's not competitive, make a deal. Say, let me have your show, and if I can put a minute commercial on your show, you can put one on mine. And let's promote each other. Let's interview each other. There's a lot of collaboration opportunities here, and it's very flexible because most of these networks, Yes, they have a schedule, but most of them have on demand. So you create an audience, people will start to follow you. And now you're going to be incorporating SEO. SEO is very expensive to buy. Get involved with a TV network. They pay for the SEO. And now you're going to have a lot of cross-promotion, a lot of cross-marketing. So I like the flexibility of that. And then even though it's television, there's audience engagement. A lot of these shows are live. So imagine if you did a major event or you put on a concert. I'm thinking singing bowls would be fabulous to have on this, right? So these are some of the paths to visibility that are going to fill your client list and give you the authority and credibility that you want. This has value for you. And last but not least, it all sounds good, doesn't it? And it sounds like, okay, where do I start? This is expensive. How am I going to do it? No, it can be done cost effectively and creatively. But I love this quote, and it's by Stephen Pressfield. And he says, don't prepare, begin. Our enemy is not lack of preparation. The enemy is resistance, our chattering brain producing excuses. Start before you're ready. Every time I read that, that gives me chills. I love that. So thank you for letting me speak to you at the end of this day. I hope you got some ideas. If you walked away from this talk feeling like you have more possibilities and this is doable, and there's no reason to be afraid because you're here for a reason, and that's what has value. Other people will see that value. They just need to see you. They just need to feel you. They just need to hear you. Thanks for letting me be here, and thank you, Robert and Sarah and Ben. This has been a privilege.